This is the High Desert Luthiery podcast with musician Rachel Kelli.
I listen to music and I'm like, wow, that really changed my life there for a second, or that really gave me the chills. Like, I need to play this song so someone else can feel the same way. And a lot of times when I play certain songs, I have people come up to me and say like, wow, that was life changing, or that was, that really gave me the goosebumps. And it kind of excites me because they're feeling what I feel, and I'm able to portray that across the board. And I think, that is why I do what I do.
Welcome to the High Desert Luthiery podcast. I'm Perry from Unga Guitars and the creator of the High Desert Luthiery Invitational, or HDLI for short. The HDLI is a small trade show that'll happen twice a year, June and December, and is a celebration of luthiers, luthier-adjacent creators, musicians, and the art that comes from combining these things. The HDLI supports the music community by providing free booths to the vendors and free admission to the public. All of the participating vendors and musicians are curated by me to create a cohesive, organized event. The HDLI encourages community and collaboration amongst the artists. This podcast is one way to help us all get to know one another. To learn more about the show and the artists, please visit the website highdesertluthiery.com, as well as our YouTube channel, High Desert Luthiery Podcast. Joining me today is violinist. Is that proper?
Yes, that's correct.
Violinist Rachel Kelli. How are you doing today, Rachel?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So we'll just hop right into this. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about what you do.
Okay, so my name is Rachel Kelli. I am a violinist. I've been playing for 20 plus years. I am a part of the wedding industry, as well as performing around various restaurants in town, and just doing different performances at galleries and really fun events. And I just do music full time, and I love it.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. I applaud any musician willing to jump in and take that dive into being a full-time working musician. How long ago did you make that decision?
Going on 3 years.
Wow, right on. And you're still at it, so I'm assuming that you've had great success.
Yes, it's grown, and anything I think that takes a lot of work, and faith takes time to definitely get off the ground. But it's been growing, and it's working, whatever I'm doing, and so I'm really grateful that I can do this full time.
What was the impetus or the inspiration to say, you know what, I'm going to do this full time?
Someone who inspires me a lot is Lindsey Stirling, and I'm not sure if you are aware of who she is, but she is a violinist. She also started playing on the street, which I do street performing, which is a lot of fun as well. And she decided, she talks about it in her podcast, that if you love it, there you can really do it full time. And so she tours now, and she does a lot of that kind of thing. And I think that really inspired me, because you think about, doing violin full time, and it almost seems impossible because you have to really make a good amount of money doing it and know how to market and do all these different things. And I think just hearing her talk about it was a real big inspiration for me. And so that is why I think, I stepped away from a full-time job, and it seems to be really taking off the ground.
Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations on that. Where are you from?
I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
All right. And what kind of violin are you playing?
I do have an electric violin, acoustic violin. I did the symphony for many years, so I am classically trained. I did step away from that for a while, wanting to just do my own music, be a little bit of a creative. And so I started to play a lot of contemporary music, things that I grew up listening to, and things that I could relate my life to. And so it turns out that everyone loves contemporary music on violin. It's just very different. You think violin and you automatically think like symphony or classical music. And so I tried to make it really fun, make it different, make it relatable to a lot of people, where they feel like they can relate to the music as well because they know the song and they know the words to the song. And so that's what I've kind of geared my music towards, is just more 90s retro or creative classical themed songs. And so it's a lot of fun as well.
And to, share on like what made me want to ask you to be a part of the show is a guilty pleasure of mine is smooth jazz. And I heard you playing and I was like, this is so cool. I haven't heard violin. Like I've heard electric violin, like Jean-Luc Ponty and
Yeah.
some little jazz fusion. And like that's on another, that's just something else. And to hear this like straight approach of this violin, it's not like at a restaurant. It's not, in a bluegrass setting or country setting. And I was just like, wow, this resonates with me. I'm enjoying this. And then I saw some shorts that you shared where you were like playing in a loop. And I was like, oh man, this is so cool. And I was just kind of listening to it for a while
Yeah.
and enjoying it. And, I should have commented on there.
You
I'm
still
really,
can.
I'm
I
really
had
digging
a
this
show
right
tomorrow.
now. Yeah, I will see if I can hold that thought long enough to follow through on that. But I was like, oh man, this would be really cool. We're really working on Allison and I. Allison's my girlfriend, and we're working on the show together. And we're really working on building as much of a diverse event as we could. Because otherwise it ends up being very guitar oriented.
Right.
There's so much more than that. And I feel like what you're doing is so fresh and yet so familiar. And I just enjoy it. So I was like,
Thank you.
yeah, let me reach out to her. And it just so happens that you return phone calls.
I know that's a huge thing with musicians. I don't know if it's just New Mexico or what, but we're kind of lazy in that in that way. We're good at music, but when it comes to like I said, marketing or planning out things, it's like not our strength because it's the whole opposite side of the brain. So I think when people really can make music a full-time thing, I think it's a strong point and it's amazing and incredible because it takes all aspects to do that.
Yep, communication goes a long way.
It does. It does.
Yeah, so you grew up in Santa Fe and you play violin. How would you say the culture around you growing up shaped you as an artist? Like, what pushed you towards playing violin instead of anything else?
I feel like my cultural background plays a significant role in shaping my musical identity. The musical heritage has influenced my art, as Santa Fe has lots of cultural art, and it's built around a lot of, I think, live music and art and music and a variety of my music, whether it's through incorporation of traditional melodies or unique musical techniques or storytelling aspects that reflect the richness of my cultural heritage. I grew up listening to contemporary music, but I also, like I said, playing 90s retro and classical pieces as I am classically trained as well. So I started learning violin in elementary school. They had a really unique program, which unfortunately they don't do in the schools anymore. It was called the Suzuki program, and that's where I started learning the violin. I'm a strong believer as having music in the schools because if it weren't for that, I don't think I would have been introduced to violin. So from there, I really loved it, and I continued to grow in my music.
Wow, all right. Your tone, I noticed, is so, I would describe it as sweet. It's not too bright. It's not too shrill, and it's very like it hits this sweet spot in my hearing range. What kind of violin are you playing? And like, was that intentional, or is that just like I've had this violin and I don't know anything different?
I've tried to play a lot of different violins. For me, I love the acoustic sound of violins. I know electric violins sound, I mean, they look really cool and they go along with my vibe. But I feel like I just love the acoustic sound. It really rings and it has that um, really key tone that I'm looking for when I'm listening. And I feel like as far as sound control, I can really control the dynamics of my music with acoustic. So I do prefer an acoustic violin. I guess it depends on the song. There are certain songs that I really like the electric sound with as well. And then you can change, of course, the tone, and you can add a pedal and add effects, which is a lot of fun too. But I think a key of that has to do with just the acoustic sounding instrument that I like to use.
When you're playing your electric violin, what kind of effects might you use, and are you using an amplifier with that?
So I set up a full system. I have a Bose speaker that I use, and then
Okay.
I have transmitters, and so I just have a little pack that I wear, and I plug the pack into my transmitters. I haven't played around with a ton of pedals and things like that. It's like learning a whole other instrument.
Right.
But if I do throw any effects, I just do, a lot of reverb. I did a collaboration one time with a friend. She plays drums, and so we did like this really fun rock song, and it was, I turned my violin into electric sounding. So it was sounding like an electric guitar and a drumming, but it was actually a violin. So I thought that was fun. That's where I kind of pulled out a pedal, and I'm like, let's see how this goes. And it was kind of scary in a way because it's like a whole other instrument. But I do like to play around with the pedal at home. I'm not comfortable so much out in the open yet, but I'm getting there with practice.
I don't want to pigeonhole you into smooth jazz. So, like, how would you describe, like, if you had to make up a name for a genre that would be you, what would you call that, or how would you describe it?
I would say a genre. Let's see. I would call it contemporary classical. I feel like certain times I'm kind of calm, but other times I like my vibe to be kind of out there and feeling what the other people are feeling. And sometimes it's like excitement, so I like to throw in a little bit of heavy beats in there, or just more contemporary feel. So I think that would be the name I would call it.
All right. And how would you, for the listeners who aren't, clear or asking the same questions I am, how would you describe contemporary music? What does that mean to you?
To me, that just means what's currently in style at the moment. So, a lot of like Taylor Swift or uh, One Direction. I try to find like trending songs on Instagram when I have extra time, and just kind of like create a track for it and throw like a little reel on, just to kind of be fun and show people that violin is something that can sound like anything you want it to.
Yeah, and how are you creating the tracks that you use?
So I just pull a beat off that I like or that's trending, and then I have all of my sound equipment here at home, and I just record it off my computer. I use GarageBand, so I do it pretty simple. Sometimes I like to collaborate with the other artists in town that are here, or people that have a sound studio are willing to trade. So sometimes I get the opportunity of being a part of someone that really knows what they're doing when they're recording, because that's a whole other monster in itself. But I just do the best I can to what sounds good to my liking. So.
Yeah, I haven't spent any time recording since everyone's doing it from home. My last recording experience was a band in a room, saying, just get the part right so we can get through the track. And but it's really fun. Like your recordings, the quality on them, it's so good. Um, and hearing that, I was like, oh, Rachel must take her craft very seriously. Your website is also very nice, very easy to navigate, and has all the information I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm always going back and forth on that. I think you're your worst critic. So, and especially for me, I'm just a creative, so I like for things to sound perfect, and I like to see things, in a certain way. So I have a certain style. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and who is the photographer that you're working with? That because you have some great photography on your work or on your
Yes. So
website, rather.
So I do. Her name is Amanda. She works along with her husband Phil, and they are called Land of Decals and Photography. And they have a studio here in Santa Fe as well. She also does that full time. And so I feel like surrounding yourself with friends and people that have the same mindset is, really helpful to navigate your own business and, to have that support and encouragement.
Yeah, that's a very good point. How did you meet them?
I met them through church.
Oh, okay.
It's great how life puts all these certain people in your tracks at the right time. It's incredible how that works out.
Yeah. Are you doing primarily wedding gigs?
So I do weddings and events. Santa Fe has a lot of support for local musicians. So I do play at different restaurants in town.
Okay.
Now slow season, so they don't do that until tourist season comes about, which is most of the summertime. So I do that as well. There are a ton of galleries here, and there's a lot of openings that they're having or events. So I do a lot of gallery events. Uh, let's see, I do a lot of private parties as well here in town. I think just the atmosphere here in Santa Fe, it just really caters to local musicians. And I think that I'm at the right place that I need to be in order to do this full time.
Ah, okay. I hear you. Do you have any favorite venues to play at?
Um, I have a few. I love La Posada for weddings. It's just like when you go there, the venue itself, it's just like a getaway. It's like you're not in Santa Fe. So that's one of my favorites. In Albuquerque, I like, what is it called? Hotel Albuquerque is a beautiful venue that they have provided for weddings. As far as restaurants in town, I feel like I like all the ones I play at because each one brings such a different vibe, and it brings so many different people in each restaurant. So it's really cool to play and see, okay, how are people feeling today? Because you get that, you get how people are feeling and you want to try to follow along with that. And so for me, I love how each place brings so many different people.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Are there any artists that have been a strong influence on your music and that maybe influenced you to play? And this question comes out of like guitar players usually hearing a guitarist and being like, I want to play like that guy. Is it a similar thing in violin or like, you just met the violin and you were like, yes, this is for me.
Well, I feel like at first, it was introduced in the school, like I was saying. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try it, whatever. It wasn't something like, I always wanted to do, but my family plays a lot of music. But I was just kind of like, yeah, sure, I'll try it. And I ended up really, really, really loving it. And so from there, I started researching, like, what are violinists doing right now? What do they sound like? What can I have goals towards? And one of my favorites, like I said, was Lindsey Stirling. She started with creating her own, she does a lot of techno music, and so she writes a lot of her own songs, and that's inspiring. But I think her sound is just so different, and the way she plays violin is just so unique. So that's why she is a role model for me. And so for the longest time, she's been a role model for me.
I'll have to check her out. I'm always on the hunt for new music. When you're playing, like, what, and you can say like this isn't for me. Some of these questions that I sent you are somewhat esoteric, and some of them don't really apply. What is your purpose? Like, are you telling a story? Are you, channeling emotion, or are you just having a good time, or all of the above?
I feel like violin's my life. I do this full time, and the fact that I enjoy it so much, I'm always thinking about it and utilizing it in every aspect of what I do. So I feel like, a lot of it is emotional. It comes from a place where, I listen to music and I'm like, wow, that really like changed my life there for a second, or that really gave me the chills. Like, I need to play this song so someone else can feel the same way. And a lot of times when I play certain songs, I have people come up to me and say, like, wow, that was life changing, or that was, that really gave me the goosebumps. And it kind of excites me because they're feeling what I feel, and I'm able to portray that across the board. And I think, that is why I do what I do.
Very good, very clear answer. I catch people off guard sometimes. And like something like that is kind of a deeper thing that you might not necessarily talk about, or you haven't had that experience, with
Right.
playing out live. And even some people who play out live aren't really going that far. And that's wonderful, emoting through your music and, people picking up on that is, it's unbeatable for sure.
Yeah, and it should be an outlet, right? I mean, like as hobbies in life, you find outlets that you do, and for me, I'm able to call this my work, so it's not even a hobby, but it's an outlet for me too. So
Yeah, and I've heard you say that, playing violin is like your life, it's your love. Um, and I have this question on here. Who are you in real life? Where does this question come from? Well, like sometimes people take on stage personas, or sometimes getting on stage is people become a little different. Like I would say I become brave all of a sudden. I go from being an introvert to being an extrovert. Um, and I don't go by a different name like some people do, but would you say that you're the same person while you're performing as you are every day?
I feel like in real life, I'm a talented musician with a passion for creating beautiful music, and I think captivating audiences with my performances. Obviously, I'm a real life persona, and my dedication to my craft, I think, is my journey as an artist. I think it's natural to have differences between my onstage and offstage personas. I think the stage allows for like a heightened expression of my
Oh,
artistic identity, while my real life self reflects on the person behind the art and what goes on in the recordings of my music or the music that I choose.
I think, yeah, the stage definitely it has that special quality, like it brings something out that like otherwise is not there. I wonder what that is. I never really thought about it like that. That is a very, very good explanation or like example.
Yeah, you think about it, it's two different worlds, and it even like goes past to where musicians that tour, they have that complete different life, and people think, they're so perfect, or just everything about them, their life is so great, and you think, you don't see any of the imperfections. I feel like on stage you just see what you see there and what you're feeling in the moment. So
Yeah, that's a big reason why I'm doing this podcast. And one of the goals with even the show in June is to look at luthiers, musicians as artists, as people. And when we walk into a gallery, for instance, an art gallery, you don't walk in there with a bunch of ideas about the world. You walk in there, you experience the art, somebody comes out, they greet you, they tell you about the art, about the artist, and it's this shared interaction and experience. And so the goal with the show is to have that like art walk quality, where
right.
we're showing off our art, and we are also artists and people, and you can talk to us, and we
Yeah.
can sometimes talk back. Depending on how the day's going.
Right, exactly. Like I
Yeah.
said, like musicians are such emotional wrecks, so I feel like I feel like you said, it depends on the day, because, you know, I mean, that's where we tune in through all our music for the most part, is our feelings, and so when you put bands together, it's like, oh great, you have all of these same introvert people that feel the same way and get so emotional, or get so, your emotions are, I feel like, in control, and so that's how we tune that out in our music.
Hmm. Yeah, you're bringing up stuff I wasn't even thinking about. Um, and my gears are turning now. Do you do any improv work, or do you like to plan everything out as far as like what songs you're playing?
I'm a planner. I'm a huge planner. Um, when I'm playing my songs, it's never the same. It's always I always throw something different in there. When I did the symphony, you do nothing but read music, and you have to play it exactly how it's written. And so um, that's what I enjoy now is being able to create what I want. And if I don't want to play it the same way, I can play it a different way. And that comes with just doing violin for so many years because that's a certain technique that you kind of have to learn. But I enjoy, I'm a big planner, but I do enjoy um, collaborating with artists and just kind of throwing in things at the moment too.
Yeah. Is there anything that you're looking to improve or that you think you can do to become a better musician, better business person, that you would like to share?
I think throughout life you're always learning, and as a business owner you're going to have to do trial and error. You're going to have to fail a lot of times before succeeding, you know and I think you learn through the moments where it wasn't so well. And so I think just be aware that you're always going to be learning and you're always going to be failing in some aspect. And I think just utilizing just planning is really going to be your strength point, because that has a lot to do with running a business and with learning and with trying new things.
Okay. Where do you hope to be in 2 years with your music and your business as a musician?
Well, I hope to have grown my business. So obviously, when I'm doing weddings, I only have weddings fall usually on Saturdays. So I only have so many Saturdays throughout the year that I can be available. So I'm planning to grow my business with other musicians that I can book out as well, preferably other violinists that I can maybe be a light to, or can teach them how to do what I'm doing, because it seems like people really enjoy the things that I'm providing. There's not a lot of that here in Santa Fe. And so I think just growing my business so that way I can make it more available to others. If I can't be available, I've raised up this other person that is available. So just growing my business with others around me. That's what my next goal that I do want to work on.
That's very niche and that's very on point with your brand. And I wish you success with that. I've experienced what are they called? Like show promoters and people that book gigs, and it's just like there's no focus and there's no reliability. And because they're not musicians, they're just people that get paid to book bands. And to have somebody that's been doing this work for a while and is also a player, you're going to understand a lot more than if you weren't.
Even too much, right? Because I'm a perfectionist, so it's very hard, like, to put that in somebody else's hands. It's scary.
Yes.
But that's also part of growing. So, you know.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Your album. When did you record that?
Let's see. The first one I did in 2017. The other one I recorded 2 years ago.
Do you have plans to do any other recordings anytime soon?
I do want to work on a Christmas album. I think that'd be fun. There's some great Christmas songs you know, that I have found to like that would be a lot of fun to do. So I think that would be my next one. I don't have any originals at the moment, and that's something else that I'm wanting to lean towards too in the future.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you for hanging out with me today. And, I appreciate you taking the time. You want to go ahead and plug your socials, your website, and anywhere where we can find your music?
Yes, so I am on Instagram and Facebook at Rachel Kelly, RachelKellirk. Um, on both those platforms. I'm on TikTok as well under the same name. YouTube, Rachel Kelli. I also have a website, which is www.stradivarius.com/site, and that'll take you to my website where you can find a lot of great photos and listen to some demos as well. But yeah, if you have Instagram, Facebook, please follow me. I like to be a creative and throw a lot of fun trending reels on there and just make it fun.
Well, very cool. Thank you for sharing, and you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun talking with you.
Cool. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.